Welcome to the stunning vistas of Margaret River, Western Australia. The home of some of Australia's best breweries, vineyards and surf breaks. The jewel in its crown is now Australasia's longest running and biggest multi-stage mountain bike race. From the first event 11 years ago, when around 80 mountain bikers set off with the simple goal of enjoying some time on their bikes, Cape to Cape is about good times, great trails and sharing a beer at the finish line with 1,400 of your new best mates.
There's a real family atmosphere at Cape to Cape and it's very close to my heart. The team are just amazing and the riders pick up on that feeling. It's so infectious. People like Shimano, Tourism WA and Giant, they've been with us right from the start and they're part of the event family too.
The 2018 edition of Cape to Cape promises a smorgasbord of single track, with the revised course combining the best elements from the traditional point-to-point format with the special stage approach adopted for the 10th anniversary.
This year we wanted to sort of take a little bit back to the traditional. It's a unique event. I mean, there's a number of stage races around the world, but in the case of this one, we're a little bit unique. I reckon it's built for the punter. It's as much about riding your bike and seeing your mates and making new mates as much as it is about racing and, you know, the food, the wine, the camaraderie and everything that goes with it. Margaret River's a beautiful part of the world, so you can't have a bad day on the bike down here.
Cape Leeuwin is a familiar start for Cape to Cape, the iconic lighthouse marking the point where the Indian and Southern Oceans meet. While it's a beacon that has come to define the start of the 4-day event, it's an all-new finish for 2018. The Stage 1 course began with some familiar climbs, including Heartbreak Hill, which forms a large part of the stage's near 1,000 metres of climbing. Stage 2 is based out of the stunning Leeuwin Estate, with the course featuring some epic trails through the Borenet Forest before riders hit the highway to hell and the mesmerising views along Contos Road and Bob's Hollow. Stage 3 features the now famous rollout through the Margaret River town centre before taking in some of the highlight trails of Cape to Cape. Thankfully, the action-packed stage finishes at the Margaret River distillery, allowing for some much-needed R&R. The final stage begins and ends at the iconic Colonial Brewery, with only the endless maze of handcrafted trails in Middle-earth standing between riders and a well-earned frothy top at the finish line. As riders arrived at the Cape Leeuwin Lighthouse, it was fair to say the customary sunny greeting was lacking as Mother Nature turned on the taps and let rip with her gale-forced fury. The lighthouse that has saved so many ships this time provided shelter as the sideways rain and cold winds saw riders seeking any respite, leading to some creative solutions. Despite the weather, the mood was upbeat, with riders looking forward to getting onto the trails and taking on their mates over 4 days.
4th year we're doing it, so a bit windy and wet this one though, but should be still good.
Come down here with the family as well. Beautiful place. Well, not today, as you can tell by the weather.
We are highly competitive. We'll be at the front the whole way. You'll be surprised, at least to Skippy Rocks Road, and then there might be a bit of a problem after that.
I was going to say at least to the start, Matt.
As well as existing friendships, plenty of new ones are forged over the 4 days, some starting under the protection of the lighthouse.
This is Kipling from Sydney. I'm from Sydney.
Rob from Sydney. Hello.
Practically live around the corner from each other. Yeah. I've never been to Margaret River. This is like a spectacular part of the world. It's just a beautiful drive down from Perth. When you stop at Bustleton, you go out along the pier and then further around to Cape Naturalista. And I was there yesterday afternoon, the sun was going down, there were whales out in the water. I mean, it was just absolutely amazing. 5 minutes in, made a new friend. This is great.
Amongst the riders fighting for shelter from the elements were Joe and Janelle. The two riding buddies from Albany are determined to make the finish in 2018 after Joe attempted her first Cape to Cape last year.
We're riding together, hopefully, if she doesn't leave me behind.
You came and watched the last stage last year and went, I'm doing it next year. And I was like,
a serious case of FOMO, the fear of missing out. We can egg each other on when we're at the lows and want to pull out.
Kind of the pinnacle of that just the everyday rider can do. Beautiful tracks, beautiful forests, scenery's amazing.
Cape to Cape is an event that means a lot to different riders for different reasons. Last year, the Cape to Cape family was in mourning with the sudden and tragic passing of Johan Pinar, 1 day after completing the 2017 event with his son, Christian. This year, Johan's family, friends and colleagues are returning to ride for Johan and share memories of their much-loved friend.
Our good friend Johan, some of us knew him from uni days. Sonia is next to us. Some of us worked with him. Johan went through his trials. He had cancer a few years ago. He overcame that and he said, I want to get fit for the Cape to Cape. Last year was an event that he wanted to do with his son, and Christian is over there. Christian beat him last year, actually, and that was a good thing. But sadly, that was Johan's last Cape to Cape. He passed away the day after the event. It was a sad moment for all of us, and we decided at the time, we're getting together, we're riding in his honour. That's why we're here.
I've had two very beautiful ladies training with me, and if it wasn't for them, I don't think either of us would have been here. So yeah, it's fun preparing and hopefully fun riding.
Last year was a great year doing it with my dad. And being able to beat him finally, that was great as well. So now being able to do this, having everybody ride with me and my mum, is just great.
While Cape to Cape is the ideal event to experience the trails of southwest WA while racing your mates, it is also regarded competitively as one of the most important stage races in Australia, some comparing it to a national championship. This year, both defending champions return, with Samara Shepherd looking to win for the third consecutive time and Brendan Johnson looking to become the first rider to win Australia's mountain bike Triple Crown by winning the Port to Port, Reef to Reef and Cape to Cape all in the same year.
It's going to be as hard as ever. There's always a really strong crowd turns up, and this year's no exception. Stage one's always traditionally pretty hard, pretty climby, and it's going to be a tough stage, and yeah, who knows what'll happen.
Really strong field and a lot of guys as well, so it's going to be exciting racing for the females and for the males. I think the weather's going to improve, and we had a beautiful day yesterday, so I'm just reminiscing. How bad can it be, right?
The mass rollout took place just as another shower hit, but that didn't deter the riders or the spectators who braved the elements as the massive peloton departed the lighthouse. The wild weather necessitated course changes. 10 kilometres was removed from the stage, meaning the pace was hot at the front. Kyle Ward charged from the bunch. The chasing pack pelted with a shower of fine red mud. Riders were forced to grit their teeth as the course made its way up Heartbreak Hill, the challenging climb thankfully leading to a sweet descent. Down the other side, the mud-caked riders were greeted by a string of single track in the National Park. The lack of rain, a joy for all of the riders. At the head of the elite field, a quartet broke away. Brendan Johnson, Rhys Tucknott and Kyle Ward were joined by Swiss rider Ondren Beerley in his first ever Cape to Cape. They worked hard to keep the chasing pack headed by Guy Kelmer, Ryan Standish and Cam Ivory behind and arrived at the lighthouse ready for a bunch sprint. With mud covering every crevice of their bodies and bikes, the spectators eventually figured out it was Johnson who won, followed by Tucknott, Beerley and Ward.
So bloody muddy. I was just sitting behind Kyle and, man, I couldn't see anything. It was insane. But no, we had a good grit rolling and just an epic stage. I mean, it always delivers this first one. I did not think I was going to win. I don't know how I did.
When I got short in the 35 Ks last night, kind of knew it was going to be a really rough stage and tough and fast, and definitely played out like that. Formed into a front bunch of four pretty quick and everyone shed some turns and it was basically all on for the finale. I think it's going to be a really tough week and a lot to play for.
We were 4 riders at the front and we just rode full gas and yeah, it was crazy. Like in the last few kilometers I couldn't see anything, I couldn't shift anymore. Never done a stage like this before.
In the women's race, Samara Shepherd let rip with an aggressive start up the opening climb and onto Heartbreak Hill. Over the rest of the stage, she fought to hold her lead. It was Holly Harris who just pipped Renata Buscher for the final spot on the podium.
It wasn't as bad as I expected actually. The rain kind of stopped part way in and then it was just mud to the face. The eyes was hard to see through, but it was great. There was heaps of people out there and yeah, I had a lot of fun. How'd you go?
4th.
Nice. The worst position.
It was a brutal start. I had Renata and Bryony at the start and they were just absolutely on fire and I didn't warm up. I sat under the balcony out of the rain. But yeah, muddy, good fun.
Yeah, like Holly said, like the start has been brutal because we couldn't really warm up. It was full on raining and yeah, tried to settle in. And I think Bryony had a little bit of mechanical, so we passed her and then I didn't know where I am, but it's good to see you now.
Yeah.
The male masters came down to previous winners Brad Clark and John Gregg in what promises to be a close battle. Gregg on this occasion taking line honours. Similarly, the female masters promises to be a compelling fight, with Peg Leyland and Kristen Gardner in the mix behind stage winner Tracy Chapman. As the riders crossed the line, the smiles belied the conditions, the mud-covered faces telling the stories of a day that no one would ever forget.
Bike got covered in mud, drivetrain wasn't happy, but it's good fun to get through it.
Really tough day out there. Funny only in hindsight, the time you just can't see and sand's going in your eyeballs and out your ear holes.
Everybody was walking up, I think it's called Heartbreak Hill. So I managed to rip my jacket off there and the boys at the top were like, "Why are you so white?" I was still beautifully clean, but the mud was really good.
Despite the weather, it was just really fun out there. The conditions were awesome. It was great.
Lovely mud bath. Tucked in, got low, and I was like, I'll just sit behind this bloke because then I can go faster. But I just got absolutely, because I didn't have any glasses on, so it just ended up being...
It's all part of the look. I mean, you want to look like you've been out there in it, or you don't want to be looking clean after this event.
You've got to chase someone up the hills, so you've got a bit of motivation to get through. So young Darren is doing really well and, yeah, disappeared on us all. So the other boys are still out there at the moment, so good fun. Awesome but muddy. It's just bragging rights for another 12 months, yeah, so just looking forward to the next 3 days.
The Ride for Johan team likewise had a good day, all making the finish and looking forward to the days ahead.
Fantastic, great ride, awesome bushland to ride through, fantastic hills. I really enjoyed the whole lot. Really nice and muddy, just how we like it.
Only a few people were a bit worried when I was riding that I'd got a bit of mud on my tutu and what would I wear tonight. But don't worry, I'll wash it. We'll be right for tomorrow.
Today was great. I'm so confident now riding this. Now I know I can pace myself and now it'll be great for the next 4 days.
One of the highlights of the day's course was Sally's Hill, the hard climb near the end of the stage forcing many riders to take on the slopes by foot. Plenty, including Joe and Janelle, had a message for Sally.
Sally, don't know who she is, but I don't like her.
Event director.
So, oh, is she really? Whoops.
If you don't like it, you can keep her hill.
Woo! The second day of the Cape to Cape dawned to far more favourable conditions at the stunning Lewin Estate. The rows of vines led riders towards Borenup and some epic trails. The undoubted highlight, though, is Highway to Hell. The incredible views continue as riders climb up Contos Road on their way back to Lewin Estate. As riders filled the event village, everyone was enjoying the traditional Cape to Cape weather.
Yesterday morning was a very cold start. 10 minutes before we're lined up and it just came in, but it's part of the race, you know. But this morning looks beautiful, looks like perfect condition for a good ride. Longer ride today, so we'll have to pace ourselves.
My favourite stage last year. I personally like climbing, so it doesn't bother me.
I've just been here in Margaret River, you know, with all the trees and all the scenery. Going near the coastline because I surf, you know, might check surf on the way and it's just awesome, you know.
We've been staying in Margaret River Central and going to a couple of different pubs overnight and really friendly people, really great place, yeah.
Just enjoying what's provided here and particularly the weather yesterday, which is very special.
How can you get your wife along to an event? Start and finish at a brewery or a vineyard or a gin factory.
Today's going to be the big challenge, but yeah, we'll see how we go. Motivation is to get back here and have a wine.
One rider impressing many was David Harris. Riding with his mates in the TLR team, Harry was nominally at the Cape to Cape to look after daughter and elite frontrunner Holly, but he fully embraced the event and even managed to climb onto the Masters 2 podium after stage 1.
It's fun for us over here. You know, a big tiramisu over at the thing last night and a couple of beers when we finished. The atmosphere is for us, and this is one of those races where you don't have to take super serious. You spend a lot of time catching up with everybody and talking and just enjoying the moment. Well, I come over here on the guys that I'm looking after, Holly, because we do the same training program, and I come over and say, look, I'll do your mechanicking for you and wash your bike. Well, turned out yesterday she washed my bike, and but it's great to spend that time with your kids.
The Cape to Cape field is stacked with riders, all on different journeys. Former professional racer and #1 bookseller Murray Hall, the Roadrunner, and fellow former pro Neil Wiley, the Wiley Coyote, are still at it 30 years on.
So we've been giving each other a bit of stick. So Neil's currently in 5th position in the age group, and I'm about 8th or 9th or something like that. So today we're going to tear some legs off, eh?
I've seen not quite as bad in New Zealand, but it was right up there, and you could see it coming across. But once you got going, yeah, you're straight into it. Just got to thank Murray and his wife for looking after me. A few months ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, had the operation, and yeah, I didn't want to miss this race for anything.
With the nervous energy building in the start chute, the race at the front of the field was anyone's game. Cape to Cape's longest stage promising plenty of opportunities for a breakaway.
Almost double distance from yesterday. I think that it's going to fold out to be a pretty different race, I think, other than yesterday's.
These guys are probably going to go pretty early, go pretty hard. We'll see how it unfolds, and if I got something left in the second half, then maybe have a bit of a dig.
It's quite a bit longer today. I guess that will probably break the field up a little bit more, and I'm actually looking forward to descent down to the beach. Will be pretty cool.
It's going to be another close one, and there's heaps out there that can play a part in how it turns out. So just find a good group and hopefully roll some good tunes together.
The Stage 2 start took place in several 5-minute intervals. The waves based on the previous day's finishing order, reducing congestion on the trails. If the stoked faces were any indication, the wave start approach was a success, with riders loving the trails of the Borenup Forest and into the quarry. The best was still yet to come though, with the run down Highway to Hell featuring incredible views as riders bombed down to the bottom of Contos Road for the stage's main climb. Riders were forced to grit their teeth and get into it, or stop and catch their breath and admire the amazing view.
Mate, what a view. It's part of the battle, isn't it? It's awesome. It's just been an awesome journey. Can't beat the scenery and you can't beat the people. The organisers have done a fantastic job. No, it's awesome. I'll be back next year.
You know, I said, you need to be there because otherwise I'm not going to get through. Come help. First part of my day.
At the front of the race, a large group of 8 riders stayed together to contest the sprint into Lewin Estate. Jaden Ward was led out by his brother Kyle and beat Cam Ivory and Brendan Johnson to the top step of the podium. Kyle and Reece Tucknott both finished in the lead bunch, meaning that mere seconds separate the outright top 3.
Ever since the first port to port, Cape to Cape, it's been a bit of a dream to do this, to be honest. I know last year had a really good result here, and there's only really one person to thank, and that's Kyle.
This event, it's due to be a pairs event in the future, and I suppose obvious pairing between us two, but it's just nice to be in company of people that you enjoy riding with.
Reece and I were on the same time from yesterday, so I just had to finish ahead of him. It was very fast. I mean, I tried to get some time towards the end. You know, coming back from the ocean, there's a lot of sandy sections you can sort of get some time, and Kyle and I actually had a gap at one stage, a reasonable gap. But yeah, Reece just sort of fought on and Cam and stuff, and they dragged the group back, and it wasn't enough. So then we all rolled in together, and my job was just to stay with the guys and finish ahead of Reece.
There was a big change in the women's race. After hiding her illness on the first day, Samara Shepherd was stalked by Holly Harris before she dropped back and struggled to the finish. Renata Busher rode a strong stage, but it was Holly Harris who emphatically took her first Cape to Cape pink jersey.
We're all in the bunch together, and unfortunately I found myself with Samara, my dad and me, and so it was a bit awkward, so I had to attack. Samara went with me and we left Dave behind, so...
Hats off to Holly. She really took to the race and took the initiative to ride off the front and make it a really good race. So she really deserved the pink jersey today.
In Masters, Brett Stapleton, Liam Maguire, Jason Roberts and the green jersey of John Gregg worked together, but they couldn't touch Brad Clark, who took the stage win and the jersey. The female Masters leader, Tracy Chapman, had a strong ride, but it wasn't enough to contain Peg Leyland, the Kiwi, taking green. With wine, beer and a good feed on the agenda, riders crossed the finish line ready to tell stories about the day's stage. The clear highlight for many, the Highway to Hell.
Highway to Hell is probably one of my favourite. Yeah, looking out, there's the ocean and you're just hammering down a rocky trail. Still feels good.
Among the riders taking on the Cape to Cape this year is WA mountain biking legend Sam Hill. The two-time gravity enduro and five-time downhill world champion is competing in the event for the second time. He wasn't alone though, his trainer Ben coming along also to take on the event in 2018.
He's pretty fit but never been mountain biking, and I told him I was doing Cape to Cape, kind of talked him into it. So he's done 2 off-road mountain bike rides with me, and then yesterday was his 3rd time, today's his 4th time, so he'll be a pro by the end of the week.
Yeah, I just like giving it a crack, so yeah, Sammy dragged me down for the weekend, thought I'd give it a go, so yeah, it's been mad fun so far.
Also taking on the event was Californian rider John, who made the long-planned trip to ride with his Australian mate Pete, who had an interesting day out.
It was a bit easy at the start, so I thought I'd just create a bit of difficulty for myself, and halfway through the race I realised my foot slipped off and I went down to have a look and I lost the bottom of my shoe. At about 30 k's of the rest of the race.
He's talked me into this 2 years ago, and so here we are 2 years down the road. This is the best riding that I've done, anywhere. The tracks, the flow tracks, the forest, what we did yesterday and what we're gonna do, I understand. Oh my gosh.
With stage 2 the event's longest, just crossing the finish line was the aim for many, with the climb up Contos Road feeling an eternity away from a glass of wine at Lewin Estate.
Longest I've gone in Cape yet. Last year I had to pull out at the watermark, so it's my first time doing Highway to Hell. And right now, it's her first time doing it, so... Hey! I better go catch her.
With 63 hard kilometres in their legs, finishing was an incredible achievement for Joe and Janelle.
We did it. I knew we would do it. I knew we weren't pulling out. There was no way. No, unless there was a serious mechanical or injury. Other than that.
Similarly, the crew from Ride for Johan persevered. Sonia crossing the line alongside son Christian and friend Kate.
Oh, it was just one very fun adventure in a beautiful part of the country, and it was really nice.
It was great, except for that part when we got to Contos, that big uphill. Jeez, other than that, the view was great. It was amazing. Oh, everything about it. We had people come and help us as well, ride with us. That was great.
We stopped and we did a lot of things along the way, but it was good. We finished, and that's the aim.
With the day winding down, riders enjoyed one last wine while relaxing on the lawn and taking in the festival atmosphere. Two riders enjoying the event are Reece Tucknott and Ondren Beerley. Reece returning a recent favour and showing Ondren around Western Australia and Cape to Cape.
Yeah, so I'd met Ondren in 2017 over in Europe at some of the World Cups and kind of needed a place to stay for a few weeks and thought I'll just see if Ondren's got a bed for a few weeks, and then they were nice enough to give me a bed for 3 months, and we travelled around and raced together, and we ended up doing Swiss Epic at the end of our 3-month trip, and now Ondren's back over here for a month.
He's a good guy, Reece. We did most of our training together, and I could show him around. I could show him all the good and fun trails. So we had a great time together.
Ondren's only come up to Cairns for the World Cups, and I thought we can show him around a different part of the country. And I mean, Australia is such a big country. If we drove 4 hours to get down to Pemberton earlier in the week, and Ondren's like, if I drove 4 hours in Switzerland, I'd be on the other side of Switzerland. So It's a completely different concept, but I thought sort of show him around the best spots and then he gets to see the best spots with Cape to Cape.
We don't have beaches in Switzerland, and the beaches here, they are so nice, just clear blue water, and the sand is so nice. I had a tough season, and yeah, now it's more about the fun. Of course, it's a race, but yeah, the fun is what keeps me motivated.
Cape to Cape moved to the Margaret River Town Centre, ready to take on the event's third stage. Since its inception, the Margaret River Special Stage has been an absolute highlight for the riders, and this year promises to make it even better. The Margaret River rollout is a much anticipated tradition, with fans lining the town's main street before the Watt bombs are dropped on Carter's Road as Stage 3 heads into the single track. The rest of the stage, barring the final kilometre, is all off tarmac, before the finish at the Margaret River Distillery, where a soothing G&T is the order of the day. One of the most impressive rides of the event has come from Perth's Brian Starring, the former MotoGP racer and Australian Superbike Championship frontrunner, losing a few kilowatts to rely on pedal power alone. Stage 1 and 2 saw Starring finish an incredible 9th and 7th within the deep elite field.
I mean, the second stage for me was a real satisfying one. I've never been in this situation before, and riding in the group at the start of the rides, I'm so nervous in the group that my heart rate's through the roof before I even got to the climb. I don't know when the attack's going to come. Like, am I going to be able to stay with the guys? Like, I don't have any racing behind me at this level. It's sort of a nice little relief for me from a normal Australian Superbike race where I know I've got to get the job done. But here I'm just have a crack and do as best as I can.
With the riders rolling in, many don Bike Doctor socks to support their charity initiatives. The event's mechanical partner not only helping countless riders with bike services, but also kids through their Bike Rescue Youth Development Program. The third stage is one that all riders look forward to, with both the rollout through town and the trails part of what makes riders come back to the Cape to Cape year after year.
The big thing is we get to roll straight through the town, and for Cape to Cape, like, it's not just a few bike riders turning up. There's like 1,400 people, their families and friends, so you don't get to do that a whole lot in Australia.
Real social aspect about it too. Yeah, the families come along, so it's really awesome.
Yep, my wife and daughter come down and meet us at start and finish, and we do a barbecue one night and really make a family event of it.
It's good as a whole group to go down, have a bit of fun and say hello to all the spectators, and that really builds that atmosphere.
We're looking good in our new jerseys, so get take on the atmosphere and get behind the town.
For the elite riders, anticipation was high, with the stage's bulk single track offering plenty of opportunities for changes in the tight GC battles. Although, with perhaps the biggest smile in the peloton, Holly Harris was looking forward to wearing pink for the first time at Cape to Cape.
This morning, just like putting it on, I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. It's just, makes me feel pretty cool. I'm definitely not discounting anyone. You know, these girls are all incredible riders, and we're hitting the single trail today, and anything can happen.
With the mass rollout heading through Margaret River, the atmosphere was electric. Seemingly, all of Margs was out to cheer on the riders, with high fives the objective for the countless kids lining the streets. Into the single track, Cam Ivory took charge and led the bunch, with Brendan Johnson keeping watch behind, poised to follow any moves. They, along with Kyle Ward, managed to edge away. A A short climb with a few kilometres to go left only Johnson and Ward to contest the sprint finish. The giant rider smashing the last few hundred metres to take the win. But his GC lead heading into the final day is a mere 9 seconds.
It's the hardest stage I've ever had in the Pines. You know, usually we get a group together and get in there and have a bit of fun, but Cam was riding so well. To be honest, there's a point there where I thought he was going to ride away with the whole race. He was going that good. And then bang, he was gone. I hit the front of one of the climbs, about 10k to go, and he was distant, and that was it. We didn't see him again. And then Kyle, you know, sort of yo-yos as he does, and I never know what he's up to, but he was strong towards the end. I was hanging on.
It was a hard day today. Cameron came out with full intentions, I think, to take the leader's jersey. I think at times he was probably 1 or 2 seconds off doing it, but it's so tight this year that it's not going to take a solo break. It's real small seconds, so unfortunately today I couldn't open it up, but tomorrow's another day.
Behind, Cam Ivory crossed the line third, overtaking Ondren Beerley and Reece Tucknott in the GC to set up another thrilling final day battle.
I think I was 30 seconds down on the lead, so yeah, hit the single track hard. I know that's what suits me, but they wouldn't give me an inch. And then legs were starting to get pretty tired, so I was trying to bluff my way through a lot of that single track, but it's going to be even harder to get time tomorrow, so yeah, we'll see what happens.
For me, it was the day that you dread in a stage race where your legs don't really turn up, and especially on such an important day, but I sort of just went into damage limitation and sort of limited my losses, I think, and now I'm in 4th overall to the top 3 guys at Trekkie, Kyle and Cam, but tomorrow's a new day and I'm only maybe 20-odd seconds off Cam, so I think we can try and pull it back if we have a really good day, and so we'll see what happens tomorrow.
The women's race saw Samara Shepherd put in a gallant performance, fighting off her illness to finish an impressive 3rd.
It's different when you kind of take the goal away from trying to win the race to just trying to enjoy the race. It's a different perspective, and just being out there instead of being at home in bed is a real highlight for me. The trails are riding so well, and all the new section as well that they've done that we finished on was a real hoot. We had a good group of mates just riding around at the finish, and it was good to share the experience.
Renata Buscher put in a strong ride, keeping the leader in sight until the finish, but she couldn't stop Holly Harris from taking her 2nd consecutive stage win.
Renata had an excellent ride. She was always there. You know, you thought, oh, I've dropped her, but no, you see that little white helmet? She's just such a strong rider. And I did one of my first ever stage races with Renata. I don't know whether she remembers, but she was just so strong, and it's so cool to be racing up there with her.
I tried to stay close, and it's good to be close, but there's definitely still a bit of gap. I just look forward, and really, really an awesome course. I love the last bit is amazing, and great crowds. They cheer you on, and they make you happy. That's awesome.
The battle in the male masters looks to be one that will go down to the wire after John Gregg and Brad Clark crossed the line together ahead of Andrew Lowe.
It was an awesome stage, probably the highlight so far of this edition of Cape to Cape. You know, such a great mix of single track. Had a really solid bunch with John and Vandy as well, so we were driving pretty hard all day.
Better day than yesterday. I was happy to get in the group with Brad, and I was watching him there, looking for any signs of weakness, but he was strong all day, and it was the best I could do just to keep up.
I think I was sitting in the next group behind him all day trying to catch him, and they just kept driving, looking back and going, nah, you're not catching us.
It's always a tough day, this is why we race. You know, we love this sort of atmosphere and love having, you know, guys like this to go up against each other on the day.
Despite strong rides from many of the female masters, including Nessa Jordan, who finished in the outright top 10, Peg Leyland managed to again extend her lead, finishing an impressive 7th in the open women's field.
Kristen and Tracy were both in front of me in the first little bit of single track, but I just zoomed ahead and pretended I was strong, and that was so much fun. It was not like racing when it's that much fun to ride. It was awesome.
Everyone was frothing over the quality of the Stage 3 trails. Among the happiest faces was Kim Kui.
I'm so happy. I enjoy the trail here. Oh, fantastic.
All the way from Singapore. This is where we ride with them every week, and it's put them on the single track, and that's the size of this smile.
3rd year now, yeah, fantastic event, yeah, really good. Trails are amazing, yeah.
All the way through the forest there, big smile on my face. Getting some good air, good cornering.
30 kilometres all through the forest, doesn't get better than that.
We got to the bottom of most of those runs and go, can we go again?
And there's 4 of us. We're all down here. We've been doing it for about 5 years in a row now. And it's particularly good, you know. What is it, 11 o'clock? So we've got the whole afternoon to go and do something here, which we will.
Belinda pretty much pulled me through the second half, so it was great. We haven't met before this, so much appreciated.
It was great yesterday to work together, and today we found each other. And yeah, it makes a difference, really push each other and encourage each other. The girls amongst the boys out there, it's good fun.
So it's nice for girl power, yeah.
For some riders, the excitement of the finish line and the promise of a gin and tonic proved a little too much. Ryan Healy citing his family perhaps a little more than planned.
I like to finish with a wheelie, not normally a stack. But the wheelie was good, the stack was a little bit average. It's all in the front tyre, too much air. I was just ready to lie down. Yeah, need to lie down.
Finishing the day strongly were the Ride for Johan team, Sonia in particular achieving what she never felt was possible.
It's just having a full life. He made us go that little bit further, and I think he would be astonished to think that I can ride, because I told him no, there's no way in the world that I will ride. And it just shows you, if you put your heart into it, you can do anything.
Among the emotional finishers was Dino. Cape to Cape for him, a life-changing experience.
I bought my bike 6 weeks ago, and I've got to go to the doctor in 1 month for my 1-year double hip replacement checkup. I want to go with him with a few photos and say the first 12 months have been great with the new hips. I had the family here and friends. Mate, you know what, this is an awesome experience. You don't know what the body's capable of. You know, I couldn't walk for 2 months, so 12 months in, oh, it's great. That there was one of the best riding, I haven't done much riding, but I think I would ever do. It was, the tracks were beautiful. It was awesome. It was absolutely, if you've never ridden before and you want to get addicted, do that track.
Riding with Dino, Joe and Janelle also made their way through the day's challenges to the Finish Festival, all proud of their achievements.
This is awesome. It's an awesome event. It was a tough day. I think it was tougher than after yesterday. It was just tough.
Oh yeah, no, definitely fun. Heaps of cool trails.
Heaps of fun.
With the day winding down, the festival area was the place to be, with some awesome party vibes at the Margaret River distillery. Plenty of riders taking the opportunity to experience their famous giniversity.
We're pretty new to Margaret River, so obviously we've been in Albany for a long time, but new to Margaret River, so it's exciting to have everyone here.
For everyone to come and see the distillery and have a look at everything, it's awesome, yeah.
It's the first time we've seen it because we've been out riding, so I'm blown away. It looks fantastic. And it's nice to ride representing the company too, because we put in a lot of work here and we love our job, so it's nice to get out on the trails right behind it.
Yet more riders aided muscle relaxation with a G&T, all in moderation of course, with the final day of Cape to Cape still ahead tomorrow. But before that, one of the highlights of the event, the colonial dinner function. The perfect place to wind down with a beer and enjoy a meal with mates.
We love it when Cape to Cape comes to town. It kind of gives us an opportunity to showcase, what we can do here at Colonial. And it just seems to get bigger and better every year. Changing format last year was awesome, and obviously doing it again this year, it works for us, and the riders seem to enjoy it. The region as a whole has just developed, and personally I think for the better, more and more breweries, more wineries, more restaurants, more eating options, fringe events as well as the big events like Cape to Cape and the Surf Pro. So I just think Margaret River and the region have got so much to offer now.
Yearning to see, tell me I'm getting near where you will be, scarred from the moment when I saw you.
The final day of Cape to Cape arrived with yet more mixed weather conditions expected for the riders arriving at Colonial Brewery. Everyone was pumped for the day's action. The 57-kilometre stage includes over 20k of hand-built single track in Middle-earth. While orcs aren't a threat, riders will have to keep their eyes peeled for wild ostriches and emus as they head back to Colonial, where ice-cold frothy tops await finishers in celebration of 4 awesome days spent on the trail. For some in the field, the nervous energy was high, with Stage 4 the final step in the big journey towards the Cape to Cape finish line.
Legs are actually feeling good. I was really nervous when I heard the rain this morning.
We're all going to try and give our hardest, especially it being the last day. It's going to be great.
No, this morning the butterflies are still there and, restless night, couldn't sleep, anxiety. But you know what? It's probably a good thing, motivates you to keep going. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Jane's looking after caffeine. I'm looking after brake pads. It's going to be good. Like Jane, this will be her biggest event by a long way. But then 4 years ago I had a back injury and then 3 years ago back surgery. So it's been a long rehab, but this is about the first proper putting a race number on, giving a little nudge. So that's pretty cool for me. Some cool tracks around here. Yesterday was a highlight with the single track. I heard today is good as well. Looking forward to that, eh?
I love it. Absolutely love it. I love all the encouragement people give on the way. It's good. And the scenery is good. Not that I'm having time to watch anything, I'm watching the track.
I've done it 4 years ago and then Ian did it last year and I just had to watch and that was just dead boring. So I thought I'd get the bike out again and ride it. Brought the fatties down, so just for a comfort ride.
They look as if they're a lot of work, but they're set up tubeless, they're fairly light and extremely stable to ride. We're not the youngest guys in the crew, so we're not going for time, we're going for experience.
I didn't get to finish last year, I had to pull out halfway through day 2, but this year we've gotten all the way through, so...
We've got this far, we're still friends, still talking to each other.
At the front of the field, nerves were also present, with none of the jersey wearers able to be complacent. The 2018 edition of Cape to Cape, in many ways, was the closest in the event's history.
Should be a pretty big day out there. I think obviously there's a lot to contend with for the leaders, the outright leaders in the elite category. So I imagine there's going to be a fair few fireworks early. So it's just going to be a matter of trying to see what happens there and see if I can get together with a few people and work together.
I'm just going to have fun today, honestly. This is my last big ride for the season, so I'm just excited to get my finisher's token at the end. The free beer sounds pretty good to me, so.
Renata is just such a strong rider.
Look at her, she is a scary person. Don't be fooled by the sweet smile. She's not someone to discount, that's for sure.
I can be a very angry person and it's good to give the young ones a push, try my best, they try their best and always hope my experience will help me and try to race smart.
As history goes, not many results change on the final day, but in 2015 it did, and that's when I got a win over Mark. So the only way I was able to do that was apply pressure from the start, and the fatigue of the 3 days before cracked him, so I can only assume that that's my card to play today.
I think I'll be under attack, which I think I'm ready for, hopefully. Real tired at the top still, and anything can happen. It's mountain biking. I'll do what I can to protect the lead. I really want.
From the gun, the pace at the front was hot, with riders trying to make positions through breaking their competition. In Middle-earth, the route was lined by eager fans, the encouragement undoubtedly leading to riders digging that little bit deeper. Brendan Johnson and Kyle Ward responded, with Ward on the front charging through Middle-earth like a man possessed. Behind, Reece Tucknott and Ondram Bealey worked together, taking chunks of time out of Cam Ivory, who struggled with mechanical issues. Samara Shepherd returned to the front of the women's race, but unfortunately suffered a puncher, taking her out of contention for the stage win. Despite the setback, she managed to maintain 4th in GC, an amazing result considering how close she was to pulling out of the event on the second day. Peter Mullins rode herself into the race and crossed the line for 3rd on the stage, behind Renata Buscher, but neither could deny Holly Harris, who took the stage and event victory.
Honestly, to me, this has always been the biggest event in Australia. It honestly means so much to me. I remember coming here a few years ago and scraping in at 15th, half an hour behind the leader, so it's really cool.
It's funny, we raced a couple of years ago. We got to know each other a little bit. And yeah, since then we see each other at the racing. Super happy for her. She has talent and she has a big future. It's always a big part. You get to know the other people. I got to know very well Holly's dad, David, so we rode together a bit, and the local people are super supportive.
Oh, it's a pretty special experience to be able to do anything with your kids. You know, when I took up coaching, and my goal was to get her faster than I was, and because, I was tapping around about what the elite women were doing, and, Holly and I are really close, and it's really nice to be able to sort of put my arm around her on the podium and enjoy every moment. But even riding with all the other guys out there, there's some awesome people out there, and, it's been a great ride.
Finishing sixth on stage in the women's field was Masters rider Nessa Jordan, the result moving her onto the podium alongside Tracy Chapman. However, neither could deny Peg Leyland, who finished an incredible fourth woman across the line on the final stage and will take the green jersey back to New Zealand.
My goal was just to come in and to be strong and consistent every day. Really fun. I went over a jump and my handlebars spun round, so I could get this brake to rotate back down, but had no back brake unless I went like that. Brakes are for losers, eh?
The male Masters race was on when second place John Gregg went up the road, forcing green jersey holder Brad Clark to chase, and chase hard. Gregg crossed the line first, waiting to see if he'd made enough time to take the Masters win. Clark went too deep, slipping to second, with Jason Roberts rounding out the podium.
I thought after yesterday I had no chance of beating Brad, who was really strong. But coming into the middle of single track, I managed to get to the front of the group with Rowan Brown, and he's a real gun on single track, and we managed to pull away.
I probably didn't play it too tactically well in the sense that I went super hard out of the gate to try to hold with the lead group, which I did for a while, but then ended up just exploding at about 10 k's into the stage, so ended up falling back with these guys, and then John and the boys just ended up ripping it through Middle Earth and just got a bit of a gap on us.
I enjoy racing here. It's always great to win. Last year I thought, well, getting older and all these younger Masters guys coming through, but to get another one, yeah, I'm over the moon.
The male Masters 2 category was taken by the jubilant David Harry Harris, while Sue Thompson dominated the female Masters 2. Joe Grasso took an emphatic victory in the male Masters 3, also finishing in the outright top 100 riders, while Di Fry was victorious in the female Masters 3 category. At the front of the elite men's field, Kyle Ward did all he could to break Brendan Johnson, but Johnson determinedly held his wheel. In the run to the finish at Colonial, a truce was called. Ward won the stage, but Johnson the race for the second straight time, also claiming the Triple Crown by winning the Port to Port, Reef to Reef, along with Johnny Odoms, and Cape to Cape all in the same year.
Kyle gave it bloody everything, mate. I was under the pump. The whole Middle Earth section, I was just chasing him. I don't know how he was riding so fast through there. At 9 seconds when you're together is a lot, but as soon as you separate, 9 seconds has gone like that, and super close racing.
I just had 10 seconds, 10 seconds. You need 10 seconds. That's all I was really thinking about. Once we got to Middle Earth, and I knew from there that I was going to lead the single track, and it was about that point that I thought, well, at the end of the day, this is going to come down to the run home now, and we kind of had a gentleman's agreement. I thanked him for a really tough and enjoyable week of racing, and we agreed I'd take the stage and he'd take the overalls.
Reese Tucknott finished in third place, just ahead of Swiss friend Ondren Beerley. The pair reigniting their Swiss Epic partnership to jump ahead of Cam Ivory in the GC after the three-time 2018 national champion suffered a tough day.
Unfortunate mechanical in the single track. These things happen, so by the time I got it fixed, I'd lost contacts with the front bunch, so happened in the single track, so I sort of backed myself to hopefully make up some of the lost time out there, but still had a good time, and that's just part of the racing. Like, these things happen to anyone, so yeah, it's okay.
Tough day, I knew Kyle. Kyle was going to throw everything at Trekkie, and he sure did, and unfortunately I think Cam had a mechanical, but I had no idea, so basically we were just going as hard as we could, and I wanted to go for the GC, so I just would sacrifice my legs and went to the front and did as much work as I could, and happy to come away with third on the stage as well.
Plan was actually to bring Reese on third place, in GC. And yeah, we rode the whole stage together. It was really fun. There were so many single trails. We had a good day out there. And yeah, it's a nice way to end a season.
With the Finish Line Festival at Colonial Brewery pumping, the sense of joy was palpable as riders crossed the finish line with stoked faces, collecting their beer tokens in preparation for a celebratory drink to conclude 4 epic days of riding with mates.
It's the only event I've been to in the world where it's such a cool atmosphere and so many riders from different sort of disciplines coming together, and no matter what your background in cycling is, it sort of all evens out throughout the course of the trails.
Because this particular event is over 4 days and it's really challenging. The relief for everyone to be here at the finish line is fantastic, and everyone's finally relaxed now.
It's a big sense of achievement getting through this stage race. It pushes you mentally, physically, it's got everything in it.
The mates that you make out there on the course, like, you're all just out there suffering together, and it's definitely something special that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, it's just a great event. Love coming back. I did the Port to Port in May, the Reef to Reef, which was awesome. And they tweaked it a bit this year. It was really nice this year. Really good riding.
It's really rewarding. You know, you start out on Thursday hoping for the best, and to get through to Sunday without any major problems, it's a big sort of relief.
This beer's going to taste good.
Yes! One rider who took a unique approach to the event was Rob, who stopped to take in the scenery and document his journey along the way.
I wasn't here to ride for the top 200 or anything. I've done no training, so just really wanted to enjoy it. So just had this thing out a lot, taking a lot of footage of people out on the track. Best shot from today. There are a couple of times where the kind of trail's diving down and suddenly boom, like you go straight through a tree, like burnt out hollow of a tree. Is insane. Honestly, there were moments today where I was just laughing, like literally laughing out loud and wooting and just being like, this has been worth absolutely every cent that I put into it. So, yeah, an epic event. Can't wait to be back.
Oh, look at the view!
One happy rider.
Our Californian friend John made it to the finish. His motley crew included Tony, whose path to Cape was also eventful.
About 10 weeks ago, I fell off my bike and cracked a couple of bones in my sacrum. And my physio mate on the other side of the world said, oh man, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. That's fantastic. You should be able to ride. Gosh, don't be soft. The strong Australian, the weak American.
Told him not to worry about his imaging studies. Don't worry about it, man. Just get out there and go. And he did, and he was much better for it.
You can say that as my heart is beating about 400 beats a minute. Yeah, of course, he's much better for it.
I'm fine.
And we've got our other mate with the broken shoe.
He's coming. He'll be here any minute. 2 years ago, planned it all, made it happen. And so the bucket list of doing this, now I just got to come back and do it again and again.
The biggest sense of relief at the finish line had to be when Joe, Janelle and Dino crossed the line. The three pushing through every obstacle and completing the 2018 Cape to Cape.
Thank you so much. I am speechless. I didn't think I could get the last 10 Ks, I could get home. It was that hard. But you know what? The drive to get home, oh, unbelievable. These girls, can I just say, these girls pulled me through. Fair dinkum, John and Janelle, you pulled me through.
You're amazing. He is amazing.
We started together, don't ask me how we finished together.
Don't talk to me tomorrow, but today's good.
Yeah, we did it.
It is so much fun, such an accomplishment, and you make great friends. Like, we would never have met Dino without it. You meet so many different people from everywhere. There's a guy out on course from Spain that we came across.
It's not just for the elites, it's for everyone. Yeah. You know, get out there and have a go.
Likewise, Sonia persevered through the final day and crossed the line alongside her good friend Kate. She had finished the Cape to Cape for Johan.
After this, no one should ever say you can't or never say never. Can you believe it? We made it. I wasn't always that optimistic, but it's nice to be surrounded by friends and motivate you.
Us doing this, it's not us mourning death of our father, husband and friend. It's us celebrating the wonderful life that he had. Great memories flowing back.
Riding last year with him and with Christian and doing it a few times with him, and this year in honour of him, it's really special. It's good. It's good for the group. It's all part of a process for everybody, and this has really done that for us.
It's been really nice to do it as a team, and especially seeing Sonia take on such a big challenge. She doesn't have a huge sporting background, so for her to come on and ride this and to finish it is just been great for her.
It's sad as well because it's the end of a very exciting period and a milestone for us as a family as well. We've just proven we can conquer anything.
Cape to Cape will be back in 2019, bigger than ever with a new focus on the teams category, because it's all about sharing the journey, the fun trails and cold beers with your mates.